Okay, so the research, just tell them roughly like your business and stuff, and
Okay, sure. Yeah. So I run a central kitchen, and basically we bake cakes and pastries, pies, and tarts, the works. At the moment, what we do is a lot of corporate sales. So we approach companies whereby, like cafes or even some franchises, airlines, to ask them if they want to order from us. And then when they order from us, they will then sell it to you guys for the consumers. So we've been doing that for about a year and a half. We're doing fairly well. But I'm just thinking that perhaps we could use internet marketing to bring the company to the next level. Perhaps doing things like deliveries and stuff. Because we have the full range of products already, but it's just that we've never done anything at all, actually. Zero.
mainly face-to-face marketing, right? They gone a very corporate.
They see my face, they like me, okay, they give me the contract. They don't like my face, I'm like, blah,
True, okay. So, what's your challenges? No marketing.
No marketing at the moment. Yeah, no website, nothing.
Okay. The question is, will selling food online make money? The answer is yes. Okay, I have a student, my inner circle member called Rose. Okay, Rose, she sells kuih bali. Kuih Melayu. Okay, and she actually resisted a long time going online. Her fear was, what if there's so much demand I cannot supply? That's it's like, why are you having this fear? You haven't launched it, right?
It's a good problem.
It's a good problem, right? So that's a fear. She took a very long time. When she launched it, she had a lot of inquiries, and it completely changed her business, really. Because last time, how she got clients was through like face-to-face. You walk past the store and then she would sell. So probably the question you have is, will this work? And the answer is yes. Because I've got several students who went online, sell a food product, and they do get contracts given from companies plus individuals who buy it. Okay, so how you wish me to advise is, how do you build a nice and effective website? Is it for which product or service? I mean, is there a product line or
delivery service?
For which one? Cakes, tarts, everything. Okay, so I think the better way
Sort of building a brand also.
Building a brand. Okay. So you want to go into the consumer arm, right? There's a consumer arm, right?
Correct, because we've been doing the opera.
Okay. I think what you could do is you could build multiple sites based on keywords that people are searching for, that individual microsites, we call them microsites, right? And then you have an umbrella brand that combines everything together.
So meaning like one site for TikTok, one site for cakes.
Yeah. If the searches are substantial. If they are not, then you combine them together. I think that's better. And so when you're in the process of building a website, how do you get started? Okay, so the first thing, like I went through briefly, was firstly you check the demand. Is there demand online? Right. Secondly is you check your competition. And based on the competition, right, you take what you like from them, and you make sure you have it on your site. And what you don't like, you make sure you don't have it on your site. Okay. Plus, after that, you will think, who are the people who would buy from me? So lady, man, woman, whoever, family, mother, So you will then search on Google discussions, right? Google discussions, what questions they ask, what are these people asking, and based on that, you would then formulate a concept of who would buy the product. And based on that, then you would take that concept of the target market and create your website to target them. So let's say you discover that mothers are potentially the main buyers of that, right? So your website would naturally be more feminine, right? More feminine oriented, and it would have specific, based on Google discussions, you probably even might notice what kind of requests they have. Maybe they want a tea party at home, maybe they want to throw own party at home, maybe they want for a specific event. So you would then have different packages, right? So you would have several packages. The reason people always like options. So in terms of building the brand, you would take who. It is not about what you are, it's about who is my target market and how can I create my branding to connect as strongly to my target market. And that's your brand head. Okay, because you want to take what you are and be as connected to the audience, and therefore they buy from you. So it's a lot of analyzing data, even asking people. Asking your friends, doing a survey and asking them, what are you interested in? Will you buy this? Right? So a lot of getting insights, doing a lot of market research. So how do you build a brand? Then a brand is who you target market, what they want, and how you create that according to the needs and wants. Right? As I said, in business, you are the least important person, right? The most important person is who is the target market and what do they want. Right? So you will create microsites that are targeted to them, and therefore you build your brand. And also, I would suggest you enter Facebook also. Yeah, because a lot of people if you look at food, a lot of people post food all the time, right? There's this joke, right? That nowadays people before they eat, they don't pray, right? They take photo of their food, right? And it's like worship, right? Okay, they post on Facebook after that. So people generally are used to posting food on Facebook, right? So which means if they see nice food, then they would share or they would, So based on that, you use both elements. And my gut feel is probably women that will buy.
Usually women are the ones who buy the cakes and pastries.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll interview you guys later.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Okay. So is that a bit clearer? How you build a brand? Okay. Any more questions? No. Okay. So was it useful? Just a quick one. Huh? Okay. Thank you, applause. Thank you. Okay. The next lady is Trini now. Give you applause. That's where property management concept. Property management concept.
Okay. This property management concept is actually idea from one of my friends. He is seeing that there might be a need that most of us face. This concept is to help people to manage their properties. For example, maybe expatriates or business or people that will always travel to overseas that do not have time to manage their properties, such as collecting rental or make sure, for example, if the utilities have problems, aircon, fridge, water heater spoil, okay, who will manage for them? So I'm looking into this kind of markets that have these kind of problems.
So what do you suggest? What do you think she could do? How can she get started? Yeah, but you need to check whether the keyword is correct. If people are searching for this. Yeah, so you need to check how people are searching for this service online to see what trends they are, because otherwise how can she get the inquiries too? Okay. And so you firstly check if there is searches for it at all, right? And if, for instance, where are the best places to reach out to these people then?
I would think enterprise companies, for example, maybe Huawei, because my ex-company, there's a lot of China people might have bought properties here, so I can reach out to them first, because I know some of them. And also maybe my friends who are property agents, who have foreign investors.
Yeah, okay, so that's a good point. So what you need to do is what Trini, right? Trini has done is she has thought of something called centers of influence. Okay, centers of influence are people who have access to your database. That means people who have all these properties, right? So instead of you finding them individually, what you do is you find someone who has all these contacts. And you go to them and you speak to them and say, could we collaborate on something? Right? And based on that, you will then reach access to their database. So this will then allow you to leverage. Right? So think about, first thing is you check online, because if online is always easier, but as you need to check what keywords you need to look at the data. And alternatively, next is you go to people who have access of these investors, right? and you speak to them more about collaborating with you. And when you speak to them about collaborating with you, you need to understand what benefit will they get by working from you. Because just say, oh, go, I'm going to do this, but they don't really care really. No one really cares unless they benefit, right? So you tell them, if I'll give you a referral fee or something, if you introduce me all these people and I'll help you build a relationship with them, So think of how can they benefit on their perspective before you approach someone. Because people only care if they can benefit, right? And what you need to do is when you create a website, you need to project yourself much bigger than just you and the lady, right? Because they want to know that you have certain backing or you are professional, right? And in fact, when you create a website, right, what needs to be done is you need to project yourself as a future, not where you are now. So you could put maybe commercial management, residential management. And even though maybe you're very new, by looking at a website, they think you're professional, and therefore they have a higher confidence of working in you. Okay, so if you're starting on something new, something big, right, don't think, oh, this is all I have, I can't go ahead, right? But rather think about where you want to be, and therefore you attract the good clients into your business. Okay, so you would create that concept first, right? And you check the competition quickly, right? Do you check competition just now? You told me, right?
I've checked there's one called KJ Management Properties, but I don't think they are managing such retail things in properties.
Oh, okay. So only one?
Mainly the biggest one is this one. There's other small ones as well.
The small ones. Why do you think that managing and integrating things is a good business?
Because they might not have the time to go and search for these resources, and I don't see any proper website that have this type of business yet.
Okay, so you manage the management of the property thing, right? And though the competitor manages what? The one that you saw. What do they manage? The competitor.
More to retail side. Big one. Big.
Oh, okay. So that means they're different target market.
Yes.
That means they're targeting the commercial and the residential sector. This is something like what Wayne discovered. Wayne, what he did was he recognized his business was mainly service the commercial space, and he recognized the residential was not serviced. So he then took the idea and targeted the residential and made tons of money, right? But on top of that, he also get commercial inquiry. So it's a good idea. If you recognize a market is not serviced, then you should enter the market because there's no one servicing that. Okay? But what you see is mainly online. But maybe offline, there are companies to service. So you need to double check. Because the online presence of many companies are not very strong in the future, right? But the process, what we're going to discussing the process, right? If a market is not serviced, should you then service it? Absolutely, you should then, right? So as I said, you should look for people who do handyman. I've got several students who are my inner circle, they do handyman. Malaysia, you can find them, and then you contact them, and they'll manage all this nitty-gritty stuff for you. And you just do the charge a premium of course, and then manage that. Okay. So just to recap what we just shared, right? I think the first thing is notice the untapped market. So if you recognize that the market is not serviced, should you enter that? Yes. Absolutely right. Next is firstly you want to check online, see if there is a keyword that could possibly allow you to be found for those keywords. Right? If there is, of course, go for it. Thirdly is when you are starting a business, in terms of marketing, think of your centers of influence, people who have database of the target market. And based on that, you want to build relationship with those centers of influence, and those centers of influence will then open doors for you rather than you find individually. Okay? So with that, you would then gain access, and they would then, however when you collaborate with them, it must be a win-win situation. It is not only, I do it because, the worst kind is someone comes and say, can you help me do this? I want to make money from your contacts. So like, what? Say it again? So that's the, so you need to tell them why they will benefit from you. So you need to think about what will appeal to them, right? And if you're not confident, you should practice the pitch on someone. Practice and, look professional, right? And it is also, when you start on this, right, you want to start small before you go big. because the worst is you approach all and the big ones, right? After that they say no, right? And then you cannot enter in. Right? So what you do is you always start from the smallest companies, and then you move to the bigger ones because you don't sabotage your success. Okay? And you know, as I said earlier, right? Just know your target market and market to them. And there are people who manage all this handyman stuff, you know, so you don't have to do the nitty-gritty stuff and you manage it on your behalf. Okay? Okay, can we give Trini a round of applause? Okay, so before we have the half-an-hour sharing session for the